Hello, everyone, and welcome. Really excited to have y'all here for a dev stream and Q&A. We have a really exciting focus today because we have some very exciting news that was posted yesterday, and again, with more news coming today as well, that we have a new partnership with Wizards of the Coast for official Dungeons & Dragons content on Foundry Virtual Tabletop. Much rejoicing, much celebration, and today the first such piece of content released, which is Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, a really amazing adventure that is a fantastic experience for starting a new campaign or a new group or new players, kind of embarking on a new D&D experience, specifically in Foundry. And so today I'm here with Kim and Matt, who are two very valued Foundry team members who played an integral role in making this happen. So why don't we start with some quick introductions? And Kim, why don't you introduce yourself and share what you've been working on for the last couple months?
Sure, yeah. I'm Kim. I'm one of the Foundry core developers. I'm usually responsible for the D&D 5e system, and this time it was a much bigger update, as you've probably seen, as we'll be showing you. And I spent a good couple of months pretty much devoted to 5e, along with Jeff, who you'll hopefully see in chat, but working together to bring this update to the system.
Yeah, Kim's done amazing work along with Jeff and the Mats and other folks on the team who contributed bits and pieces along the way. One of the Mats being, of course, this Matt. Why don't you introduce yourself and talk about your role in this project?
Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I normally work on publisher relation stuff, but for this partnership in the Phandelver and Below content, I got to work on the actual content conversion side of things. Headed up with Matt H, the other Matt, also known as Honey Badger, who helped out with scene conversion, adventure, macro, and a bunch of other cool things that we'll get to show y'all soon. So uh, a huge thank you to him for all of that effort.
We hear Matt twice. One of the voices delayed. That's almost definitely something
Hmm.
stupid that Andrew did. Let me see about that. No, I don't think it's headphones. I think I'm just huh. So I'm getting volume from Discord, but then also from desktop audio. So let's
Good.
yeah, this is troubling. How have I done this before? Sorry, guys, novice streamers here. Let's get this figured out. Let's see. So I've got my mic. We've got desktop audio, which should just be Discord once. So where is Discord twice coming from? Where is Discord twice coming from? Hmm. I'm honestly puzzled by this.
We're saying it sounds fine on Twitch, but everybody should be hearing it on Twitch, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, sorry. I think yeah, I think maybe it was just my mic picking up a little bit of echo. I thought that it was directional enough that it wouldn't. So, anyways, sorry about that. Hopefully we're good. If it continues to be an echo, let us know and we'll get that all fixed. Um, anyways, all right, yeah. So let's go ahead and continue on. Hopefully echo less. And yeah, so thanks for the introduction. Oh, OBS Studio reconnection succeeded. That's never something that you want to hear. Rutro.
I had
Rocky start, folks. Are we back? Do I need to stop it and start it again, or does it come back on its own?
I refreshed and it's showing an ad now, so I think that means we're live again.
Rocky start. Rocky start. Well, they say start as you mean to go on, but I say, who are they anyways? All right, yeah. So yeah, I think OBS just like flicked in and out for me for some reason. Yeah, quick stream, straight to the point. So anyways, no better way to start showcasing this new stuff than with the video that Matt made to specifically do that job. So I'm going to play that now and encourage everyone to give it a watch. Hopefully you've already seen it, but maybe it's a chance to see it a second time. And then we will get into discussing all of the bits and bobs that that video gets into. So without further ado, away we go. And we're back. I think. I hope.
Yeah.
Yes, we are back. Hope you all enjoyed seeing that video once again. Great job, Matt, with putting that together. It's a really amazing showcase for everything that we're doing. And it's just the beginning because this is a new partnership with Wizards of the Coast. So we're going to be working with them closely to create and produce premium quality content for Dungeons and Dragons on Foundry VTT. It's a partnership that includes both current D&D 5th edition as well as the rules update that's scheduled to come later in 2024. And so those updated rules will be supported by the system on Foundry and supported by premium content that we're doing. And we're going to be creating lots of things. We're going to be creating additional adventures. We're going to be creating core rulebooks, supplements, all the things that you need in order to have the comprehensive Dungeons and Dragons experience on Foundry VTT. And that's something that we're incredibly excited to be doing and to be partnered with and to have this opportunity. So hopefully that's something that everyone is excited by as well. It's a great thing for our platform. It's a great thing for our community it's a great thing for all the games on Foundry VTT, because this will further strengthen and improve the software in ways that benefit all of the great game systems that we have as well. And the first piece of content is released today, which is Phandelver and Below. So there's two main components of this partnership. One is a major sort of overhaul / update to the game system, and we're going to be showcasing a lot of that. And then the other part is a new piece of premium content, Phandelver and Below, and we're going to be showcasing that as well. So, just really excited to be able to be releasing this content. I've seen a lot of comments in chat or on videos or on Reddit or something about, does this mean like there's been an acquisition, or does this mean that like what is the actual relationship? We're just partners. We're partnering with Wizards of the Coast, so we are still Foundry VTT. We are still all the same people doing all the same things, but we are working with our friends at Wizards to make this content possible. So yeah, that's it's nothing more complicated than that. I'm excited to get into talking about, what this means and how it works and what y'all can all look forward to and expect and enjoy. And so without further ado, we can get into that. And I think a good place to start would be with creating a new world for Phandelver and Below, and showing like what the process looks like to get that content, to acquire it, to activate it in their world. And then we'll start using that imported Phandelver and Below adventure as a set of content from which to show all of the system features that we have to demo. We'll try and take some questions from chat throughout the stream. So if you have a question, feel free to ask it. It's helpful to us if you preface your question with like all caps question, so that we can pick out questions just from, people reacting or otherwise chatting. We won't get to all the questions because we do have a lot to get through today, but feel free to ask some along the way and we'll answer what we can. So to get started, Phandelver and Below, you go to the package page on the Foundry Virtual Tabletop website. You can find it easily in our package listing, or you can find it, there's a link on the homepage to get there. Also under the package directory, you can go down to the new Wizards of the Coast section, and it's listed here along with any future Wizards of the Coast content you'll be able to find here. You purchase it directly from us, so it's $29.99 plus tax if applicable. And when you purchase the content, it immediately and automatically gets activated to your Foundry VTT account. So there's nothing else you need to do there. It will just suddenly be available then for you to install. So what that looks like is, I'll go back to the setup menu here. Sorry, Kim and Matt, you're getting disconnected. Back on the setup menu for Foundry VTT, under the add-on modules section, once you've purchased Phandelver and Below, it will show up here in the install module listing. So you can search for it. Now it's right here at the top because it just released, but if you search for Phandelver or something, you'll get it. You can install it very easily. And then what you'll do is you'll create a new world. So for example, like PBSO stream demo. The world is going to be using the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game system. You'll launch that world. And once you're inside your world, what you can do is you can go to Manage Modules and you can activate the Phandelver and Below Shattered Obelisk module. That requires you to reload once you activate a module. And if you haven't imported the adventure content before, once you reload, it will just pop up automatically for you here. You can see kind of a little bit of detail of what it includes, everything that gets imported when you do it. I'll check this box to customize world details because I think that's cool. And then away we go. It is a quite large adventure, so the import process takes just a minute. But then once it is complete, you will have all of this stuff imported into your world. So it's completed. The region map comes up automatically to start with, as well as the introductory journal, Welcome to Phandalin. And then you have all of the stuff. You have all of the content in your world, all of the actors organized by chapter, all the items, all of the journal entries that you need for getting started, the intro, all of the individual chapter breakdowns, roll tables, scenes, of course, all of the scenes in the adventure with very high resolution, high fidelity maps that we're very proud of. And so that's the process for how you get the content, onboarded and started in your world. I'm gonna actually switch back to the world that I was in before because I created users for Matt and Kim so that we can show you stuff together. So rather than do that, spend time on the stream doing that, I'm just gonna switch back to the other world that I had previously created. But that's the process for getting the content into your world. It's super easy. This login screen, like this is what you would see as a result of doing that like customize world details option when you import. Like your login screen for your world gets the custom artwork and like a little description about the PBSO adventure. So there you have it. It's easy to get started with this content. Just purchase it, create a world, install it, create a world, and activate it, and you are good to go. All right, what is next on our list? What do we want to show next, Matt or Kim? Where should we start? There's so much to showcase.
What maybe this is a little bit further ahead in a tiny bit. You could load up the Cragmore hideout, and we can show the sort of first steps you might have to do when you're just starting the adventure. So, creating the party actor, creating some player characters, all that sort of thing. This is a little cave that they will hopefully find. I think it's not guaranteed, right? They will hopefully find it at some point, a little bit past the first encounter.
Yeah, all of the locations of all of the areas are really beautifully annotated in the journal in a style that kind of emulates the print book, but also optimizes for the digital format. So like everything is cross-linked, very easy to navigate, very easy to get from one place to another, really easy to find what you need. All of the pins of locations on the map are really easy to just kind of go room by room.
Yeah, and anytime you get introduced to a new feature like awarding currency or XP to your players, or how to hide or make a token visible, like on the Cragmaw ambush map, there's little Foundry callouts that tell you how to do that, that show what icons you need to click on the whole way through, and should make it as easy as possible to get started if you're totally new to Foundry. And there's also like a Foundry advice journal entry that walks you through like how the journals are designed, what the links do, how to share images and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll be an easy getting started process for people.
Yeah, definitely. The party actor, Kim, you mentioned, this is a really cool new feature. Why don't we import some player characters so we can show like what it would look like to assemble a party? I'll come back to this in a second, but what we can do is from the SRD, we've got all these starter heroes. I'll just import all of the starter heroes to a new folder. So now we've got some heroes here. The PBSO, that's an acronym for Phandelver and Below that I may use out of habit. We've been using that. We've been saying that internally in the team just as shorthand, and so I guess it maybe has stuck. Phandelver and Below. We create a party actor automatically as part of the adventure. You can make one yourself though. If you just go to create an actor, it's one of the actor types you can make. It's called a group. Now, one thing that's true of any group now in the D&D system is you can mark that group as the primary party, and it gets a little star icon next to it to denote that it is in fact the primary party. So suppose we have some heroes here who are our player characters like Morthos and Riswin and Xana and Merrick. Suppose this is our party of...
Needs to put Accra great in there.
What's that, Kim?
Accra
needs to go in there? Okay.
Yeah.
Who are we kicking out?
She's
Who are we kicking out in
important
order
for the
to have some
demonstration.
healing here in the group? Sorcerer's got to go. We already have a wizard. All right, yeah, so we've got our party of our player characters here. And you get a lot of nice functionality through the party. You get a summary of their hit points and easy access to character sheets, a shared sort of party inventory for any equipment you want to trade back and forth, things like that. You also get a lot of cool functionality. So if I go back to Cragmaw Hideout, there were some things you wanted to show with that, right, Kim?
Yeah. So it's just someone said they were still getting echo. I don't know if we just forge on.
Probably we need to forge on. While you're talking about something, I'll go grab some headphones. I thought that I'd done everything I could to mitigate that without wearing headphones, but I think that's probably the ideal recourse for me. So, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So the next thing we might want to do, I don't know if we have one. In the beginning of Phandelver, the Lost Mines of Phandelver, you're, I think, delivering a wagon. So we could try creating a wagon if there's not one included, and we can also add that to the party actor.
There is a wagon.
Oh, cool.
I thought that might be.
Yeah, so we do have a wagon. So wagon is one of the vehicle types that is supported in the 5e system on Foundry. So we can add our wagon to the party, and you see now there's a separate section under there for vehicles.
And by the time they've reached the hideout, you'll probably want to go back to the hideout again. We can place our actors down.
Awesome. Is that an individual placement, or is that using the party interface?
I think we're out of the world map, so we want to. I don't think you can place them from the actor. I don't think we had time.
That'd be a cool drag and drop feature to add.
Yeah.
It's certainly something that's possible, because there are some other systems that have a cool sort of like deploy out the party feature. So that's something we can look to integrate in the future. But here are our heroes. They're ready to go.
Here are our heroes.
Yeah. Why don't you move them around a bit while I go grab my headphones? Spare everyone remaining echo.
Yes, Akra, your preference, Kim? I'll take Merrick or Xana, maybe?
Yeah,
and Andrew can have Brightswind show off dark vision and stuff.
Some demonstrations with Akra later. These goblins, you can see they're hidden currently.
Yeah, and they're hidden because this area, we don't have terrain walls or anything here, because this is an area described in the adventure as being visible, and you can actually fire through this, and so we left it unwalled so players would still be able to target through it. But it is difficult terrain, and they do get 3/4 cover, I think, and so we could show the rule tips if we wanted as part of a demo here. Let me... Oh wait, I can't.
Is it possible my voice is coming through Matt's?
I have headphones on.
Oh, you have headphones.
And they're in-ear, so I don't think they're leaking or anything.
Yeah.
We'll see. You'll just have a dramatic reverb.
So one of the other things we could do here that we can't demo because we don't have the GM view that's being streamed, but you could create one of the new group types is a encounter group. It's not super useful in this circumstance, but we could contrive a use for it and create an encounter group with 3 goblins, and we can give them some money, and we can give them an XP award. And assuming our adventurers manage to defeat these 3 goblins, we can show in the new encounter group actor a little window into the award system. There's a few different ways you can do awards, a few different ways that they're hooked up, but this is one of them, depending on how you like to do your prep, what you prefer. Getting some good sleuthing from chat, trying to work out what's going on. I reckon it's barely noticeable. Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll just skip it for now.
Yeah. Could trigger a hit. Maybe we'll take some of these questions while we wait.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah, I think the one that you were just looking at, will there be development enabling a passive perception feature that could trigger a hidden tile to become visible automatically? Now, that's certainly possible. I think that.
How are we doing now? Yeah, I think trying to troubleshoot like audio setup live on stream is really an unfortunate experience. Yeah. All right, try something now because I think we weren't getting Matt and Kim, but let's try again.
Test.
Now I think we are.
Still getting an echo.
Still getting an echo. I don't believe you. That should not be possible.
I just heard it.
That should not be possible.
Okay,
Most people saying
there's
no echo.
So
anybody else getting an echo? It's you now. I think you're in a cave listening to this on speakers.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know. I really should have set up all of the audio several minutes before the stream instead of like while the stream was actively going live. But anyways, thank you all for your patience with us. We're better at making VTTs and premium content for VTTs than we are at audio engineering. All right, so what were we showcasing here?
I think we were showing that we... Or sorry, I'll let you go, Kim.
I thought maybe we would have a look at a contrived example of the encounter type group actor, but the feature's a little bit it's a little bit lacking in functionality at the moment. So
why don't we start with something that is not lacking in functionality? Let's show some of the cool stuff.
We could skip past it and go into the big ticket items like the character sheet.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, should we have a play around with the character sheet?
Let's do that. Yeah, let's pull up one of these actors, whichever one you prefer, and why don't you talk us through some of the amazing work you've done with the reimagined character sheet?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. The novelty has worn off a little bit for me by now, but the feedback has been very, very positive. So,
which character do you want me to showcase?
Very enthusiastic. Why don't you bring up Akra for now?
Okay.
She's got some spells.
Got it. Yeah, so we've got a beautiful new design that really is designed to kind of evoke the feeling of D&D. One thing to clearly mention is that the older character sheet style is still available if you prefer. So like with any document in Foundry VTT, you can configure which sheet that character uses. So if you were really partial to the legacy sheet, you can switch back to it and you can get back to the setup that you had before. Continues to work. But the new one is kind of our vision for the future. And it uses a new design. Tabs are on the side, so going down the side of tabs, you've got all your character details, your ability scores, skills, saving throws, race, background, class, resistances, proficiencies. An inventory panel now with support for containers. That was a big new feature in this release. Organized by category, of course, but yeah, you've got backpacks and quivers and pouches that you can put other things into for more fine-tuned organization of your equipment. Your class features, as
And
well
if you
as...
prefer all of that to be in one big stack, you can change the sorting or the categorization for it too, right? So I think it can become like just the straight inventory list all the way down.
Yeah, that's right. You can toggle
there's a little grouping.
the organization, you can sort. There's all
Yep.
kinds of great filters that you have for like things you can do as an action or as a bonus action, or things that are magical or things that are equipped. Lots of really useful features. Your attunement slots, what you have attuned.
You can collapse the sidebar if you need a bit more space,
Mhm.
and that will increase the amount of information you get as well. Add a few more columns depending on the tab.
Yeah, and then of course all of the amazing tooltips when you hover on an item or a feature. You get the full details of that item. Same with like usable features like your breath weapon or your class features or your spell lists. You get all these amazing tooltips.
If you go over her spellcasting feature in particular, and make sure your cursor's over the icon, you can lock the tooltip and scroll within it as well.
Yeah, so that uses the Core Foundry tooltip lock, which is a middle click by default, bindable. I think bindable.
None of the clicks are
None of the
bindable.
clicks are. Okay. Not bindable. Middle click then. You have no choice. But yes, a middle click will lock the tooltip in place so that you can scroll it or interact with it. Like if there's links inside the tooltip, you can get to them by locking the tooltip.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing, the context menus on the items. If you right click them, you have your context menu. But this thing is typically quite hard to discover in the system. A lot of people can go a long time before realizing that there are context menus at all. Not just on items, but also on chat cards, for example. So we added a little drop down to make that a little bit
The
more
triple
obvious.
dots. Yeah.
Little map obscure, I think. I forget what they're called, but
Meatball menu is what I like to call them.
Meatball menu.
Meatball
The
menu.
analog to the hamburger, of course.
Exactly.
On the character details, there's a few things. Well, I mean, you can see the character card on the left. It's like a kind of, this is inspired by some Magic the Gathering cards. There's like a little death tray for your death saves, pops out. Hopefully you don't have to use that very often, but if your HP goes to 0, it will pop out automatically as well. And you can see that the little pips under your character track your exhaustion.
Nice.
So you can track all the way up to your 6 levels of exhaustion.
Please not at 6. Please not any. Honestly, don't love being exhausted.
No, it's pretty terrible. And one thing that we should really go over is the difference between sort of play mode and edit mode.
Yeah, good point.
So in play mode, which we're in at the moment, this is optimized for the sort of operations that you would normally do while playing. So if you want to edit HP, it's really simple. You just click in the HP box, type your delta or your max HP or whatever, and hit enter, and you're done. And you can change your HP whenever. You can roll skills. You can roll your ability scores, but you can't edit your ability scores, for example, because that's not something that you would typically be doing very often. But if you ever need to edit your ability scores, ever need to edit your skill proficiencies, if you ever need to edit anything really, you can toggle at the top and switch to edit mode, which lets you change a bunch of things. And this, I guess it's worth pointing out that this addresses kind of a long-standing issue that with, for example, if you had a Gauntlet of Ogre Power equipped, Akra's strength would read 19 because she had the gauntlet equipped. But if you were to try to edit that as well, it's not clear what you're editing. Are you editing the 19? Are you setting her score to? So previously we had to disable it because it was too confusing. But now with this very deliberate toggle between edit and play mode, you can have only the. Oh, we lost Matt. You can have only the base stat available in all cases. So, for example, if you had some active effect overriding your skill proficiency, if you click into edit mode where you're editing those proficiencies, then suddenly the active effect will go away as though you didn't have it, and then when you flick it back to play mode, the active effect will apply again.
Yeah, that's very nice. It's a good way to handle that, what was previously kind of an awkward dual purpose for active effects and editability of the sheet. I really like that. You've also got buttons in the header, so short rest, long rest, configuring special traits, tracking inspiration. I love the little inspiration pip, the little glow there. That's really cool. Obviously, level up.
The inspiration is very extra. And the special traits in particular, that's another common one for new players. It's like right at the bottom of the legacy sheet, very small, and a lot of people don't realize that it's there. Missable. Yeah, it's very missable. So it's got a nice dedicated button now.
Yeah, and then the other tabs of the sheet that we didn't quite get to yet, of course, spells we just barely touched on, but of course, your spell book and organization of your spell book is super important to spellcasters, tracking what's prepared, tracking, filtering, sorting, say like, oh, I've got a bonus action left. What can I do with that? Easily filtering for things that are compatible with your action economy. Obviously searching for anything by name, tracking spell slot consumption. It's all sort of supported here.
That's right. Yeah, and again, you have some extra information if you collapse the sidebar. There's quite a lot of information for the spells, in fact. So.
Yeah, that's really cool that you get a few more columns when you go to sort of full width that are the ones that kind of gracefully fade.
Yeah, it's pretty flexible layout. So the whole sheet is resizable. So even if you wanted to, you could drag it all the way to the right and you still get that extra flex if you want a really wide sheet, and keep the sidebar if you need to.
Yeah. And then other tabs, we've got active effects, which now include really great interaction for all of the standard system conditions, some of which, well, maybe not many, but some of which have additional very special properties. For example, like the blinded effect interacts with your dynamic vision. So like if you have the blinded condition, you lose visibility of the map temporarily. Also, things like invisible, the opposite direction, the invisible effect, gives you special feature there in terms of being not visible to other actors. So like if I'm controlling the character here, so I'm not invisible to myself, but to another actor, I would be invisible at that time. Then others, I don't know. Did we do anything for like paralyzed in terms of like movement speed, or are there others that are like coming in terms of those special integrations?
Yeah, I think paralyzed makes you, if you hover over paralyzed, you can see what it does. It makes you incapacitated, and I'm pretty sure that will set your speed to 0. Yeah, you can see on her card that it's gone to 0.
That's right.
There's a lot of them are around movement speed, really. That's the easiest to automate at the moment. A lot of them are a bit trickier to automate. For example, prone is a fun one. I've automated this previously in another module, but it involves some geometry to know whether tokens are 5 feet or not. So at some point we'll definitely get there, but not at the moment. One thing I did want to, so there was a question about this actually, about equipping and unequipping items and stuff, and encumbrance and things. So equipping and unequipping items does not affect your encumbrance. Presumably, if you have some armor on and you unequip it, you
You're
haven't
still
just thrown
carrying
it
it,
on the
yeah.
ground. You're still
Yeah.
carrying it somewhere. So, but in general, like if you want to bump up the quantity on the scale mail, for example, you'll see that the bar at the top will change. It'll change color as you get closer to max encumbrance.
One thing you can do if you want to like simulate, oh, like I'm not permanently throwing away an item, but I am like temporarily setting it down, is you can just set the quantity down to 0. So like your scale mail, you're not necessarily like deleting the item, but you just aren't carrying it anymore. That does affect, of course, quantity does affect your encumbrance. So like if I start stocking up on multiple shields, I am becoming progressively more encumbered.
Yeah, that's a lot of shields. There is one special case, which is with containers, where we haven't done it yet, we might special case containers so that if you unequip a container, it's considered sort of like temporarily put on the floor, so its contents won't count towards your encumbrance. It's not in the system yet, but we might do that. What else are we missing? I suppose you could show the little spell slot pips.
So there's a good question from Evil. Do spell like bless and conditions like exhaustion automatically and dynamically add disadvantage or plus 1d4? So yeah, those are all things that the active effect system can do. So for example, the bless effect, the way that works is if you cast that spell, you either are applying it to yourself or to others, but when you have that spell applied, so for example, if I've blessed myself, then my own checks and various checks would have that bonus.
Yeah.
So for example, like if I roll a religion check while I have that bless active, does bless affect skill checks?
It does not.
It does not.
It's
I was
saving
like,
throws.
yeah, that's right, saving throws. Yeah, thank you.
We need a rule tip for it.
Yeah, I should have consulted the rule tip. So let's do a wisdom saving throw instead, and we get the 1d4 from bless automatically added in as long as the effect is active.
Yeah, why don't we show that? If you cast bless now,
okay.
We'll see some of the new features.
Yeah, so we'll go to the spell book and then click bless to cast it using a first level spell slot. So it deducts the spell slot. The bless spell card shows up in chat.
Yeah, get to see all of the salient information like the material components, concentration, that sort of thing. And then you have a little effects tray, which will show any effects associated with the spell. So when you're building spells, you can store active effects in them that might be useful when they're used in play, and they'll all appear now under the effects tray. So you can select 3 tokens now. Control 3 tokens, sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, so I'm going to bless myself, Riswin, and Merrick, because Xana's decided to run out ahead.
Yeah, and then you can just hit that arrow to transfer the effects to them, and they'll all get blessed, and they'll all have the plus 1d4 to their attack rolls and saving throws.
Awesome.
And in a future update, what we'll do when we apply that effect is we'll store the current combat round on that effect as it's transferred, and expire it later when the duration is up on the roadmap, but not done yet.
Yeah, that's a tricky one that requires some work, but definitely that's coming. It does, of course, report the duration though, and report the source of the effect. So like here over on Riswin, we see that like I have bless as a temporary effect, 60 seconds cast by Akra.
Yep. This has all been enabled by some work we did in V11 around grandchild active effects. All of this, and now we can have a proper sort of source information as the casting character. It's finally coming together.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly check. There was a couple of other chat things maybe worth showing. Someone really early on asked about creating a character, so we could do that. We don't have to create a character, but what you could do is go into edit mode and delete Akra's priest background and see a couple of the little hints that we leave for character creation.
I think it's fast enough to create one from scratch. I'll just
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we'll do new hero. So the sheet starts blank. Certainly, initial steps would be to add a race, a class, a background. We can click here to easily access the various races that are in the core SRD. We'll be a
class bugged at the moment.
We'll be a half orc. And so when you add the race to the sheet, you get some certain ability score increases, certain size category, you get the menacing feature, certain languages, and all of that just gets automatically applied to your sheet. Same for a background. Now, in the SRD, there's just the Acolyte as an example, but one of the nice perks of purchasing Phandelver and below is you get an expanded set of player options. So there's more backgrounds to choose from. So we can be an Outlander, and same, sort of advancement. We get to choose an additional language. Goblin seems good since we're about to encounter some. Drum for sure, definitely got to have that. Musical instrument must take. And then of course class, which is a big choice, the most important choice probably for your gameplay. And
features tab, there should be a little prompt for that as well.
If you haven't chosen one yet. If
you haven't chosen one yet, there is.
Yeah, so we'll be a bard.
Yeah, it opens the wrong. This is because we changed the way the compendiums worked right at the last minute.
Yes, that you can blame on me because it was my at my insistence. So we get a bunch of stuff for being a bard.
Very minor.
More instruments in case the drum is not enough. All these things that we get for being a bard all automatically get configured, and then of course as you continue to level up, you would then gain additional features. So
we should show people how to level up. That was one thing.
Sure.
Requested.
Yeah. So when the sheet's in edit mode, you can set your experience to whatever you want. There's also automated pathways for gaining experience now in the game system, so we can show that in a minute. But suppose I set my experience to the full 300 points that are needed to level up. How would I then go about doing that, Kim?
Well, you're most of the way there already. So you're in edit mode, and then you just head over to your class and change the drop down on the level.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to go to level 2 Bard, and so we'll roll for hit points. Got that 1, of course. That's the way it goes.
Well, you always take average.
Always take average.
I roll for hit points, guys. I do. I always roll. That's my way. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Statistically, you're more likely to lose because of the way that it rounds up.
Yes,
on average.
I am keenly aware of the statistics, but yeah. Taking the average is not why I play TTRPGs.
It's the coward's way. Yeah, I understand.
So that's a quick demo of level up.
We will likely improve this. I mean, not even likely. We will definitely improve this. I think there are some plans for a more cohesive advancement, sort of putting the advancements, grouping them together, and then probably have some nice level up dialogues.
I'm going to pause for a second because I've seen a couple of good questions from chat. I probably have lost track of who has asked these, so I'm just going to kind of paraphrase. My apologies for not actually quoting you exactly, but a couple of questions about so what does this mean for non-SRD content? I think that's an important question. The base D&D system continues to be SRD only, of course. That's what you get for free. For non-SRD content, that is going to be a little bit of a wait. We wanted to start there, but because of the forthcoming rules update, it's not the ideal time to put out the existing PHB, and then have, say, like a revised PHB that would be coming later in the year. That timing is a little bit too difficult to navigate. So those sorts of non-SRD content, like Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, DMG, additional advancement paths and things like Tasha's, depending on what ends up being, core rules and what ends up being expansion, those sorts of things will all be available as soon as we feel like we can make them available without there being kind of a forthcoming change that would, be a different set of content. So, so that's the current situation there. And we'll be, in the meantime, focusing on really amazing adventure content that we think will, be really exciting for 5e players, obviously starting with Phandelver and below. But you can expect more adventure content like Phandelver and below in the coming months. And then, of course, rule books. You'll be expecting a lot of rulebook content later in the year. And I know that, people have opinions about whether that's the right policy or the right thing to do, but we feel pretty strongly that that's the best thing that we can do in the situation that creates the most value for our users and our customers. And I think it's the most customer-friendly thing that we can do that's feasible. So, hopefully you all can look forward to that and understand the reason that that's the timing that we're looking at. And another key important question that I saw, questions about, like, we kind of already addressed that, like, this is a partnership, not an acquisition, but there were follow-up questions about, like, what does that mean in terms of, like, who's doing the work or whose incentives or what. We have good support and encouragement and autonomy from our friends at Wizards to produce products from their product catalog, and they're supporting us doing that. And so we're managing the content development first party. We have expanded our team a bit to work on this. Matt Honeybadger, Jeff Arbron are two examples of that, and there may be others as well. And so, we're pursuing products that we think are the best, the best fit for the community and what people will like the most. And obviously there's a revenue share associated with that, as you would expect, for the content that we sell. So hopefully, I can't go into more details than that, but hopefully that basically explains the landscape for people who are, like, not sure what this means. Go ahead, Kim.
That was just another follow-up question about producing all of the adventures. I'm sure we would love to do all of the adventures, but we can only do them one at a time. So we have to pick the ones that we think are best.
Yeah, going as fast as possible isn't the right move, but, like, definitely resourcing this so that we can continue releasing really high quality content on a regular basis. That's the goal. So, I think hopefully we'll be picking something after Phandelver that will really be exciting to all of you. We are listening to comments. We see lots of people requesting this or requesting that. That does affect our thinking. If you have a really strong argument for why you think a product is the right one that we should focus on, let us hear it. And we'll be doing more, definitely sort of in the coming months. And then I think there's another question: do you plan to release adventure packs for all existing D&D adventures or just the new ones that were released 2023 plus? There's no limitation there, so, like, any 5th edition content is in the realm of possibility for us. But of course, one of the nice things is that more recently released content may be potentially, more sort of a seamless transition to the revised rules, because that newer content has been written with some of the new ideas in mind. So that, affects our thinking, but there's some really amazing adventures out there that were released years ago. And so those are ones that we're really excited about the possibility of doing. All right, I think that's a good little round for some questions for a minute. So why don't we show some more features?
More stuff.
What would be a good next thing to jump into?
I thought maybe I mean, there's still a few things that are pretty good. We should at least demo the favorites feature
On the sheet. Yeah, good.
before we move on from the sheet. But like, I thought maybe we could add some frequently used cantrips or spells to our favorites bar that we're probably gonna maybe want to see on every tab, or
Guidance at a moment's notice is a must.
yeah, guidance.
Got to get that guidance in.
Has to be spammed constantly. Yeah.
That and healing word, because I think that I feel like Xana over there is going to be like down and up a lot, so we're going to need healing word handy.
Yeah.
Classic wizard.
Maybe a sacred flame so we can show some damage.
Mm.
And then we can show like these dynamic token rings and how they work if you roll some.
Yeah, so suppose let's try and Sacred Flame. I need a light source in here. Xana's gonna give me some light. All right, so I come around the corner and we've got some menacing looking wolves here. Yeah, so it's neat that you'll see like when I target a wolf, we get this sort of satisfying UX feedback on the token ring. And that's not just for me as a player. So if Kim or Matt, if you want to target some wolves as well.
We all have too similar of a color. Let me pick something a little bit more.
Yeah, we're all various shades of pink and fuchsia. So
there we go.
Yeah, so Matt with his
yellow now.
Yellow, we get like a little visual indication that Matt has kind of acquired a target. So that is both for yourself and for other players. So suppose we target this wolf and we'll use our favorites to you do a Sacred Flame. Kim, why don't you play the role of the DM here, and you can make the saving throw on behalf of the wolf. Please roll low. We want to show damage here, so please channel your low dexterity. Yes, there you go. Natural 1. Thank you, Kim, for that terrible roll. So the damage has been rolled, and we can use the chat card, right click, and as a GM apply it. And then if you watch the token ring when we apply this damage, you see we get this nice little red sort of satisfying flash of like, oh, this target was hit by something. If we reverse that as if it were, it's not healing, but suppose it were, there's a nice little kind of pulse of green when you get healed. And that red flash again when you take damage.
So this was actually not a nat 1. This is a new feature which shows the DM whether they succeeded or failed on the saving throw.
Oh, good point. Yeah, you rolled a 4. I didn't even notice that.
Rolled a 4.
Maybe I should activate DSN. That's right. So because I am a GM user, I then see, because of this red highlight, I see that it was a failed saving throw. But for a player, there would, correct me if I'm wrong, but there would still, the mystery would be preserved in terms of...
It would still be a mystery, yes. Yeah. They wouldn't see the DC 12 either unless you have it turned on. We have an option for that. They would see it if they're playing Acra, and if you have the setting set to show players, but you can hide it from everyone now if you want, or you can just hide it from
That's a
NPCs.
Really nice new setting. So that's under the D&D system settings, right? Challenge visibility. Yeah, so you can configure whether you want DCs to be sort of publicly known or not publicly known. And there's some different options there that is really nice for choosing how you want to run your game.
Oh, wait, let me just see here.
Good question from Tato Sack about, can we add dynamic token rings to our own imagery to player tokens? It's a great question. So the answer is yes, and that was something we wanted to be sure to support. So suppose I'll use Acra to demonstrate this. Now this is top-down artwork, of course, but if you had a portrait that you had composed to be, to have the right fit for a ring, that's what would make it ideal. But whenever you're configuring a token, under the Appearance tab, there's now a sub-tab for the dynamic ring. And so we can check on the box to use the dynamic ring, and it will put that ring underneath your token artwork. and you get all of those those benefits that you would have when the ring is active. So now when Akra takes some damage, well, I thought when Akra took damage I would get the flash. Maybe, maybe not.
Sure.
Might
Bugs.
be. We might have found a bug. It's a new feature.
Live demos.
Live demo, new feature. I'm going to try refreshing. It might be that it takes note of which tokens are using the ring, like when the scene starts.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Live demo.
Yeah. I was going to show an attack roll. There was a question about color blindness, and I did make sure to have some color agnostic indicators for the attack rolls, but I forgot for saving throws, so I just wanted to show the attack rolls.
You can, with the ring, configure a custom ring color, which is basically the color that the ring idles at. So like when there's an animation, the ring would flash. Like it is working for my target, which is interesting why it was working for that but not for damage. But yeah, so like the ring will sort of idle at the color of your choosing, but then it will temporarily flash to a different color. Or of course you can just have it be sort of no color at all, or black, whatever you want really. You can choose a custom sort of background tint for the ring if you want like a background tint that will match your character artwork a little bit more. There's some nice things you can do there. You can put certain like visual effects on the ring, like you can have it be a gradient. So here you get a nice kind of gradient color on the ring that is a little bit animated. You can see, hopefully it's coming through on Twitch, that you can see that little animation on the ring color. Background wave, you get like a little sort of pulse that can be used for certain effects. We're going to be adding new effects that can be tapped into for the token ring gradually over time. We're going to be adding new effects all the time. So yeah,
this is all Ludovic's work with the shader, and KR did the token rings. I don't know if either of them are in chat, but very, very impressive work.
Yeah, a question from Red Dog MT. Can you add a larger interior ring sizes? The ring is a bit too thin. Larger interior ring size. I mean, I understand the concept that like something is desired to be larger, but I'm not sure exactly what is desired to be larger. Probably the answer is no, not easily, but we're going to continue adding features over time.
Effect for current turn. Yeah,
that's a great idea. Effect for current turn.
Great idea.
That was an obvious miss on our part. We were trying to kind of come up with ideas at the last minute of like what should we add token ring effects for? Current turn. That's a really good one, and I think you can count on that showing up at a future update.
Yeah, well, certainly. This may end up in V12 if we have time.
I think that's the goal. I don't want to make a firm commitment, but I do want to say that we prototyped, designed this feature to be, a sort of flagship, launch with the official D&D content. But the basic framework of like compositing the ring this way, we envision it being just a standard Foundry feature. So any game on Foundry should be able to take advantage of this framework. But all of the official D&D content, all of the bestiary, like every creature, every character that comes in an adventure like Phandelver and below, every single one of these, and there's like 170 or something, Matt, like all of them have have artwork that is entirely like optimized for this dynamic ring. So like all of these awesome different like fiends and stuff. Spoiler alert, there's devils in this adventure. But yeah,
and it will work with wildcard tokens and such as well. So we have multiple bugbears, we've got multiple goblin types, we've got multiple of drow elite warriors, and a whole bunch of other creatures. So you'll get
that's right,
the randomization effect and all of the fancy token stuff
at
the
here
same
we
time.
Get two different bugbears. So some of our creatures do have multiple varieties, which is something that's really great, just to have that visual differentiation. It also works, of course, with flipping horizontally. I'm always a fan of the casual horizontal flip, and suddenly you have a different wolf. It's an entirely different wolf, guys. Entirely different wolf, not at all the same wolf. This one easy trick they don't want you to know.
Yeah. And huge props to Anathema for all of the work on the tokens. He went through a massive amount of artwork and made things work in ways that I did not ever think that they'd be able to work. And all the tokens look great as a result. And all of the portraits and everything that you see for all of the characters are all things that he's pulled out of existing artwork and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it came together beautifully and in a very short time frame.
Yeah, the source artwork that we have is really beautiful because there's tremendous artists working with Wizards to create this content. But it's fair to say that source artwork was not designed with the Foundry Virtual Tabletop dynamic token ring in mind. So a fair amount of work was required in order to, really work that artwork into the format and framing that is needed to make these rings work well.
Yeah, and actually, if you open the Chapter 1 art handout and you change to the Clarg the Bugbear art piece, you'll see where this wolf came from originally. And so that's the kind of stuff that Nath had to do. Like, it's beautiful artwork, the wolf looks great and everything, but it was obviously intended to be part of this concept art. But because we had access
I've seen
to
that wolf before.
Exactly. So you'll see actual wolves, canonical wolves from their location in the right place, because Nath spent a lot of time cutting these things out and making them work well in tokens.
Yeah, they look great. They really do.
Can we show some of our journal content for this area while we're here? Checks, enrichers, awards, or is there a better area that we could use for that?
Definitely this area, because there's the passive perception, but maybe I've got some other... I don't...
Okay, all right, no.
We can go to it if you want.
Well, I want to make sure we get some time to showcase like all the amazing Phandelver and below features. Obviously, like the system updates are tremendous as well, and we could talk about them for hours, but...
Yeah, no, I hear. I'm just trying to tell a story here, so...
Okay. Bring us to the next chapter.
We'll skip the attack rolls, but now we've beaten the goblins and the wolves. We're gonna distribute some rewards.
I can make an attack roll real quick.
Do you want to make an attack roll?
I can make an attack roll real quick. We've already got this.
We don't have time. Skip
We've got this wolf on the ropes. I can do it. We're gonna go for the trusty firebolt. Yeah. Firebolt attack roll. Let's go. Oh, I missed. That didn't happen. I'm spending my inspiration.
There you go. You can see the we've got some target validation, I guess. Target roll checking, and it has a little tick for colorblind.
Yes, right. So the check, success, and the armor class that you're testing against, and then you can expand out the details of the roll, apply your damage, and oops, that was not a damage roll. In fact, that was an attack roll that I just did to myself. Let's roll damage, in fact.
Oh, you can still apply damage on attack roll?
Okay, 6 points of damage to the wolf, which has rendered it incapacitated.
And look at that pretty new dead icon.
Yeah, we got a new skull icon. That's fun.
All new status effect icons, I think, right? Or almost all.
Almost all new, yeah.
Almost all new, yeah.
Really designed to be a little bit more visually accurate for the condition that they represent. So definitely little improvements there as well.
They were all done by Mickey. And she also did a lot of the character sheet assets. The badges on the AC and the level and the currency icons. Can we show the currency icons, because I really like them?
Yeah, of course.
We'll see them in the award.
Everyone knows coin is the primary measure of character advancement in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes,
since time immemorial.
We have some really nice looking currency icons. And these are based.
We've got gold, something, silver, and copper.
These are based on the Waterdeep coins. So that's the copper nib, the silver shard. It's not they don't have an electrum piece, so this is just electrum. And then the golden dragon, which you see a lot is like the typical D&D coin, but it is water deep.
You mean the
water deep specific.
Foundry VTT Electromap?
Man, we should call our player client Electrum. And there's the.
We might have to
there's
ask permission for. I don't know. Do we? Well, I guess not. It's
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, no Harbour Moon. Fortunately, that's a bit too water deep specific.
Yeah. Cool. So that's the currency icons, and it's not the character sheet is not the only place those icons show up. You can
see them in the awards.
Yeah. Should we show that
can
next?
Go to the. Yeah. Do you want to go to the journal for this encounter? There's an award in the journal.
For the wolves?
For the goblins outside.
For the goblins outside. Okay, let's imagine that we had first dealt with the goblins that were lurking outside the... Yeah, so all of the individual pages are very easy to reference with these pins that match to the sections of the adventure text. Yeah, and so this would be one of the first award blocks, or probably the first award block that appears in the
first
adventure. And so we have this nice sort of Foundry VTT how-to block that throughout the adventure there's these blocks that showcase like how certain things work in Foundry. So since this is kind of a in a way an introductory adventure to D&D, there's also lots of supplementary sort of introductory material in here to how the D&D system in Foundry VTT works. So it's designed to have a great new user experience for game masters, dungeon masters, as well as players. So talk us through what the award block is, either Matt or Kim, and then tell me when I should go ahead and do it.
Well, the award system is something that you can check the wiki actually for an in-depth breakdown on the award system. There's a few ways you can do it from the chat, for example. You can do it from group actors, the encounter actor, for example. But it's just a way to transfer currency and XP at the moment, and there's a few different options. But scattered throughout the content, there's an enricher for it, which is another way to access this. So
yeah, I'll show that in a moment. It relies on having the primary party set, right?
Yes, I think it will fall back to assigned characters.
Yeah, but in this case, since we've designated this as being the the primary party, when we click award, we'll see that we get this UI for distribute award, and by default this encounter is a pouch containing 16 silver pieces.
Yep.
And by default this is a
massive boon.
Split award, but if you were setting up an award you could also have a reward where a certain amount goes to each person, but this is like a split each, and then you get to choose who gets it. And so
and this is saved, so if you select every party member, the next time you award, they'll be pre-checked
your choice
for you.
Right. Yeah. So suppose we split. Let's just make sure I confirm Xana's starting wealth, which is 10 gold pieces and 0 silver pieces. So we award the 16 silver split between the 4 party members, and Xana got the 4 silver coins automatically. And we do get a log of that in chat, that there's a record that award was given. And you can use awards for experience as well, for encounters that are defeated.
Do you want to? You could just type that in the chat. /award. I don't know.
Yeah. So suppose we defeated these goblins, it would be well, if it was 3 goblins, it'd be 150 XP, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go. So
the syntax for the /award is /award 150, and then do I do like XP, or is there a
150 XP?
One word, or no, or 150 XP, no space?
No spaces.
150 XP, no space. I tried it. I don't think it worked. I probably did it wrong.
Did it? Do we have bugs? I can probably.
No.
Yeah, no, there's a bug. Value to nearest is not a function.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll get it fixed. We're gonna fix any bugs that we find with this new
Yeah.
content ASAP. It's
Live-
And we are also
live
in
demo.
V12.
it's such an
Oh, it
ambitious
might be V12.
it's such an ambitious new update that there's going to be a few rough edges that require polishing off, but we'll get those addressed very promptly. But yeah, so that's the award, and for content creators or just for yourself as, you know, a game master running your own homebrew game, you can easily include awards in your own journal entries. So if I go to edit this page, to the edit view, you can see how this looks in the editor. It's just a double bracket /award, and inside that /award is the, you know, 16 silver pieces that you're awarding. So it's really easy to include this sort of tool-tipped award, you know, in your own journals, and so that's something that is really fun for content creators to take advantage of, but also for home brewers, for anyone who's just running their home game and preparing their own notes for the session. You can plan out your experience and coin rewards in the journal, and it's really interactive and a great experience to have that.
And I think one of the things we'll be looking at next is checks and passives and things like that. So that on top of awards in the getting started folder, there's a Foundry and Adventure Advice journal that has a breakdown of like all the different types of checks and saves that you can make, what they'll look like in a journal entry. So you can also click on them and test them. And you can figure out how to make just about anything, whether that's a tool check, an ability check, a saving throw, passive check. You can even do ability checks using non-default abilities. So if you wanted to have a athletics check that used intelligence or something because your character was a telekinetic and that's how they interacted with the world, then you could do that. You could do an athletics check using their intelligence modifier.
Let's show some of those skill checks. What would be a good thing to show, Matt, either for an individual skill check or for a group passive? Or
H4 should have passive checks if we want to see what those look like.
Yeah, that's great. So we're approaching H4, this steep passage, and there is a passive perception here to see if you can spot the goblin that is lurking nearby. And when we hover over that passive perception in the journal, we get this beautiful pop-out that shows the players that are in the party, the characters in the party, and their relevant passive scores of that passive skill. So you can very easily, when a passive check is encountered in the text, reference and see who would meet or exceed that passive threshold.
Yeah, and then there's also a little Foundry tip in here that if you haven't set up a primary party, so that's not working for you, it'll link you directly to where you can find out how to make your own party, how to set it as your primary party, so all these calculations will work automatically. And then lower down in the page, we have some acrobatics checks. So if you start climbing up this area and the floor starts to give out underneath you because it's a crumbling precipice, then the whole party might need to do an acrobatics check to see if they fall prone. And hovering over that prone condition will also get you a rule tip showing what prone does, what it means for your character, and makes it super easy to run.
Yeah, and all of the skill checks that are embedded in the text here have a roll request, which is also a new feature, right?
Yes.
So if you're the DM running this and, you know, one of the characters in the party, you know, is standing on the ledge and tries to make an attack, then they have triggered this condition, and you can request that they have to make a roll. So we say, you know, Akra, you're up on the ledge, or you're up on the crumbling bit, and you've tried to do something risky. So we can click a roll request, and it will put a prompt in chat for that character to make that roll. And so it's a good way to kind of nudge. Just barely. Good way to nudge your players to make a roll. Obviously, you can ask them to do it, but the nice thing about the request is it's a button right there for them to click. They don't have to spend any time fumbling around like, oh, okay, I have opened my sheet and where is acrobatics and what do I click? It makes it really easy to just execute the roll that's needed. And so the little request prompt is a nice way to kind of keep the action flowing by allowing you to nudge your players to do the right thing.
There's a question about adding these passive checks to your own journal entries, or if it's specific to this content. But it's in the game system itself. It's not specific to this content. So if you're in the D&D 5e game system, then you can use these enrichers, and they will.
Yeah,
They will work just
anything
fine.
in the D&D 5e system. So that can be custom content, it can be other creator content, it can be your own homebrew content, it can be this premium content. Anything in the 5e system can use these types of skill checks.
And I don't know if this just went through to you, but I just tried to
got it.
assume direct control
Sure.
to send over. I sent it on the journal. But if you change to the checks and saves page, and then make it a little wider, it'll show the full kind of breadth of changes that you can make. And people can always just pop that open and see all of the options for the different kinds of checks that you can make and how they're written, so that you can either just copy and paste them yourselves or use them as a basis and make your own changes.
Awesome. That's really cool.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot in there.
Let's take a couple quick questions while Matt and Kim, in the meantime, while I do that, you can plot our next move in terms of what we want to show next. Question from Kamatikos: does the request prompt support mixed ability skill checks? So basically, when you receive that request to roll, the player, you would click that button to actually fulfill the request. And when you fulfill the request, a skill check is going to, by default, use whatever ability score is associated with that skill for you. But you can also, if the circumstances permit it, you can change to make an acrobatics check using strength or using intelligence if that's appropriate to the situation. Question from Red Dog MT: will there be samples of these journal scripts in the compendium so we have examples to go by? Yeah, so I think that probably got answered, but basically if you purchase Phandelver and below, I mean, you don't have to purchase PBSO. There's documentation in the system repo about how to use these as well, but the entire Phandelver and below content, one of the nice things about it is it serves as a really great set of examples of like how to make your narrative blocks look a certain way, or how to have referenced rule elements like this dark vision tooltip, things like that.
And I guess one of the other nice things is that a lot of that styling has been moved into the system, so it's not PBSO specific. PBSO is overriding some of it to add like custom border colors and things like that, so that they match the kind of green theme. But you can make these narrative blocks yourself. You can make these call out blocks yourself. We use them in a whole bunch of different places throughout the adventure. We use them for quest blocks, location blocks, just replacing the image. So it's not always a foundry die. Sometimes it's a token representing like the main creature, like Agatha the Banshee later on. And so you can have all of these blocks yourself and have just a really nice set of journals that kind of match premium content, and what we think looks nice and lines up with the general publishing style for most of the D&D official content.
Yeah. Why don't we have a change of scenery? We've been looking at Cragmaw Hideout for quite a while.
Go and open up the SRD rules compendium if you want to see the base foundry, base D&D 5e journal styles.
Oh yeah, because there are updated styles for the journal entries too.
Yeah, so all of the SRD rules are, represented, readable in full, and we've got these beautiful blocks. Like this hiding block looks so nice, like for like a definition of a particular special rule. Like all of these different styles are part of the new system update that just makes the text of the journal feel sort of more, I don't know, feels more like D&D, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. Yeah, there's examples in there that you can draw on as well, although not as many like gameplay examples like make a certain check, because that's sort of more for game content, but there's lots of examples in there as well.
Oh man, so many questions.
Take us to a new scene, Matt. Where should we go?
I know there was a lot of excitement about the high def Phandelver region
The
map,
maps,
and we
yeah.
actually have 3 different versions of the Phandelver region map depending on what you want to show your players. We have kind of the default view, which gives you what the adventure assumes that you're gonna share with your players, and those are also it has a party token linked on it. It's got almost exactly accurate scale for navigating around, so you can have accurate mile measurement for how much distance your players are covering. There's pinned locations for everything that you might want to go to that you can share with your players if you want them to have access to it later. And then in the chapter 1 atlas folder, there's more options for art that you can share with your players. You can look at the DM specific version that has a few more things pinpointed on it exactly, that we have journal entries placed in those locations to make it easier for the DM. But there's also the player view and a completely unlabeled version of the map if you don't want to share anything and you want to kind of reveal things as you go along. So I saw a lot of people excited about having a nice high fidelity Phandelver region map, and so having that included hopefully will be exciting for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, what did we have for Wave Echo Cave has some interesting things that we can show for things that were and the Phandelver village map as well. This one is actually basically exactly accurate to the scale, and it's set up so it's a gridless scene, so you can even do like a control click to verify that the distance on the scene matches what the scale at the bottom right gives you. Everything is linked to all of the information that you need. The Phandelver village map is broken out into its own nice journal, so you can have access to it while still reading through the A Dangerous Journey or the Welcome to Phandelver or any of the other journal entries and have access to everything all at once.
Nice.
And then location journals, like in the Tresender Manor leading into the Red Brand hideout, you've got separate journal entries for that, so everything's very easy to track. But Wave Echo Cave is probably one of the first maps where we started being able to pull some things out into overhead tiles. So over in W12, that giant bellows, those zombies or your characters can actually navigate underneath that bellows, and it'll hide them as they're going through it. It's the same thing for the water wheel, though it'll be a little bit trickier to get under there. And something bad might happen to you if you're underneath it.
Crunch. No more Xana.
Exactly.
So
we just have lots of nice things, and obviously there's lighting. The Flame Skull actually has the lighting effect that its token would have. We've also added some macros to the adventure because a Flame Skull can change between 2 different types of illumination, whether it's just dim light or if it's bright and dim. So we have a macro that automates that. All of these doors are configured with door sounds, and throughout the whole rest of the adventure, door sounds are applied everywhere that they should be. And one other unique feature, yeah, there it is. If we go over,
sorry,
what?
I think it was it came in a little hot. It was a little spicy. It was a little spicy.
That's how it always goes.
Sorry.
THX. If we go over to W15, I believe, this is a cool thing that Honey Badger built. It's a custom app that works as it's just or actually, I guess I'm looking at an old view of where you are, so I shouldn't try to give you background information or background drive or backseat drive. But the Brazier of Green Flame macro will open a custom little application that we put together that kind of automates a cool feature that otherwise you'd have to track manually. You can drag any non-magical item. So if we grab like a non-magical greatsword or something from the compendium pack, I think almost all of the items that we actually have in the world are magic items from the adventure, so they won't work. But you can drag an item onto it. It will automatically roll the 1d12 hours that it's supposed to apply. It'll note that in a flag on the item, and it'll enchant the item and give it the actual magical effect that the spell of forges or the Forge of Spells is supposed to give it.
Only took me 1 hour. I'm so good at this.
Yeah. And so that's something that we tried to do going through the adventure. Anytime there was something interesting that we could add just like a little bit of flair, a little bit of Foundry automation to, we tried to do that. And I think this Brazier app and something that we'll probably show later with a rotating maze are probably a couple of the best examples of that. But there is one other thing in here that's just a small bit of automation. If we go over to W18, which is in like the northwest corner of the map.
You can always ping drag me if you want to just yank me over
Oh
there.
yeah, that's true. There we go. So if we open, oh, I may not have put this in the journal entry. I'm going to make a note of that to fix it. But if we click on Volok, the drow over here, this drow is
drow. Minor spoilers, folks. Sorry, but just got to show some features, but nothing too major.
Yes. So we have a disguise switching macro. So if I run this, I can change it to, or actually maybe we have, or I might not have the right permissions. Let me see. Okay, I'm not getting any error messages, but I might be doing something that works in V11 but does not work in V12 for changing Volok around when I run the disguise macro. But basically in V11 this works. I know because I confirmed it earlier before we pushed it out. But you'll be able to change certain characters into different tokens dynamically with just a couple of clicks to go along with what the adventure describes when characters are hiding or trying to act like they're somebody else. And so there's just a lot of small things throughout the adventure, new overhead tiles that weren't previously available, the new apps, new macros, and just a whole bunch of other fun stuff for automating key moments when enemies show up, when doors close automatically, and just hope it'll be fun. I won't say too much about the rest of those because they might get into spoiler category for later parts of the adventure.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Kim, anything else you want to shift us on to Spotlight?
There are some questions that are answering. I think we're mostly done. I guess we could show unidentified items.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a question about awarding items, which kind of ties into this, but there's no sort of slash award command for items. There's a few things that we have in mind for this. I've got an award system in Obsidian that was kind of modeled off, but we haven't gone that route. But at the moment, the best way is to take the NPCs who have the loot and just put that loot on the party actor for the characters to sort of distribute amongst themselves however they want. They can just grab it off the party actor sheet.
So suppose the party acquires a magical ring. We could either, before putting it in the party sheet or, quickly afterwards, you could mark that ring as unidentified, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we won't be able to see it here because we're all GMs, but a player will not see the details. They won't see the effects. There's some more work to do here, though. Certain effects will still apply. I think, like if it were a ring of protection, for example, I think those effects are suppressed, but I'm not sure. Either way, there's more work to do. And there's some question around like should marking the item as identified be GM only or not. So these are things that we'll be coming to as we further develop the system. But the details and stuff, they're all hidden. They're all hidden by default now from players.
Awesome. Having that identification toggle is really great. That's one of the things that I've always found a little clumsy in my own games when running, is just like dealing with that process of identifying items and wanting it to be in the player's inventory, but also not wanting to give all the details away right away. And I agree with you. There's still work to be done here, but I think like that workflow of going from the unidentified to the identified state and having that asymmetry of information between the GM and the player, I think that's something that's a really big improvement for like quality of just like what the VTT makes it easier to manage when you're playing.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. There was one question about the 2024 rules, which maybe I would answer because it came up a lot yesterday in the Discord as well. Around like whether you wanted to switch to the 2024 rules, will you be forced? Will there be a new system? The short answer is we don't know until we see the rules. The slightly longer answer is it's probably the case that we will just have system options for rules that change, but there's very few that have actually changed meaningfully so far. There's like a small handful, so we'll probably just have system options, so you can just toggle whichever rule you want to use. We will probably change names, so like armor proficiency might become armor training, but if you really want to, you can change it back with a translation string. And like the changes to class features and stuff, I mean, they'll be available via a different compendium anyway, so you'll have the original things available regardless. So like the original class features if you prefer them.
Yeah, I think we're, our North Star would be to have one system with configurable aspects that handle certain things as optional rules, where the default value for that optional rule will probably become whatever the 2024 rules update is. But there might be a non-default value for that rule, which retains some prior behavior for people who want to keep continuity with their previous way of playing. Now, there may end up being some places where that's not entirely practical to do. And, at the end of the day, there may have to be some compromises if we hit things that are not really possible to have be either or, and we have to make a more firm choice. But I think the guiding principle will be to have this be a really graceful update so that people who are already playing D&D 5th edition today can, upgrade into the 2024 rules update, purchase the premium content for the 2024 rules update, have all of that at their fingertips, but be able to customize some things to work in the prior way where it's feasible for us to continue supporting that.
Yeah, exactly. So far, it doesn't look like there's anything that will be a hard split, but absolutely, if there is, and we have to choose between maintaining a spaghetti code base versus just cutting the old rule, we'll cut the old rule, and there'll be a space for modules to come in and reintroduce it if they need to.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a few more questions, and maybe Matt or Kim, you could plot something else for me to show if there's anything else you'd like to cover, but I'll grab a few questions from chat.
Yeah, I'm mostly done, Matt, so
Yeah, the only other
stuff.
things I had left in mind, because I didn't want to give away too many things, was that we could show the labyrinth vise and show the rotating maze. I guess we showed that in the preview video.
It's in the video, so
So we don't have to do that.
We'll do it. We'll do it. Minor spoilers. Avert your gaze if you this isn't a huge thing, but yeah, this is a later area in the game, in the adventure. So if you're thinking that you're going to be a player in this adventure in the very near future, just earmuffs for like maybe a minute, and then we'll we'll be done. But yeah, this is an area later in the game where there's this kind of puzzle where the corridors don't exactly connect the way you would expect, and so this center chamber is called the Rolling Eye, and as part of the dungeon puzzle, you can rotate the eye to kind of connect different passageways, and it's integrated with walls and vision. So like your vision that you have will also change as the GM does that rotation. So Akra here in the maze is like looking at a solid wall where there's like no way to proceed, but then when the thing turns a couple of times, suddenly there's a corridor ahead that you can go into. So that's a pretty cool thing that is really like one of the kind examples of the sort of like extra touches that we're able to do to make the gameplay experience like a little bit more tangible on Foundry.
Shouldn't be understated either, because this is a nightmare to do with a sort of static map.
Yes.
There's
these were
something
not tiled
similar.
in the original files at all.
No, I mean like on a VTT where you can't sort of replace the walls and stuff. There's like Tomb of Annihilation has something similar, and yeah, it's hard. It's hard to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's similar to the functionality of Token Attacher, which is a great module, but it's much more lightweight because it's just a little bit of custom code that does it without a module. But it's not generalized code; it's just little custom code that's specific to that particular puzzle.
And then other than that, I think there's a couple other scenes that, or at least one other scene that shows off some kind of unique things that we're able to do with Foundry as part of the lighting system. Like in Chapter 8, there's a whaling battlefield, which I don't think should be particularly spoilery for anything because it doesn't really give away anything. But you can see just kind of a very interesting dynamic effect of the lights shifting, the background. We have an actual like moving fog effect over the scene. And it just really emphasizes some of the beautiful stuff that was already in the map and then enhances it in a way that
the otherworldly nature of the environment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great areas that are really compelling to explore, that have really exciting content and look really beautiful, like just kind of augmentations to the map that help you really be in the moment when you're exploring the place. See lots of questions about vision. We do of course have some great features in Foundry in terms of like supporting like dark vision. So this is a Dragonborn, so wouldn't, but imagine this character has the 60 feet of dark vision that certain races would have. You get the whole map in grayscale, but in areas where there is a source of light, you see color. So over here, I wonder what that is. Let's not spoil it. But yeah, there's like something over there that's emitting light. And so you see the color coming from down that corridor. Or like over here where there's the sort of crystal, the crystals that are in the cave down here, like where there's light sources, we suddenly see the bloom of color, even though we have dark vision in areas where there's no light. So yeah, these are the sorts of things that Foundry can do. Also, special senses, I think these are just kind of Foundry features rather than new things in D&D, but Tremor Sense, really exciting feature that allows you to sort of detect through walls or other things that you can use to sort of see. So like, for example, if we enable feel tremors for 60 feet, then suddenly we can see through the wall and know that this monster is over there somewhere in the other side of the thing. Or if we have sort of a type of like sense all, like a true sight, then you're able to sense that there's creatures nearby, even if you don't have line of sight to see them. So these are some of the really cool things that Foundry can do with regards to, vision in particular, that really help enforce the rules and bring them to life.
ABA has already done a lot of good work. There are PRs in the D&D system to have these integrated with your actual character's senses. So if you have tremor sense, it turns on your token automatically, for example. But they're currently waiting for V12 because of how it changes sort of some of the lighting and vision. So those will be coming in V12 in the system. We've laid some of the groundwork already. So like the detect evil and good stuff is in the system, but not turned on yet.
Yeah, so that'll be really cool, sort of for paladins or for anything, had sort of special ability to sense or detect certain things. the ability for those to become detection modes, that's going to be a really great integration that will become possible in the future.
Detect magic.
Speaking of like possible in the future, should I share the sort of roadmap article briefly?
Sure, yeah. If we're out, we can have a look at the dark mode.
Yeah, that's cool. So like this is a subset of things that we're planning to do next. I mean, the universe of things we're planning to do is vast, but there are some really big system features that are still coming up that we can tease. So here, Kim, you have a screenshot teaser of the dark mode sheet.
That's right. This is an early design, so you can see it's moved on a bit since then. Like, we don't have the death saves up there anymore or inspiration. But dark mode is definitely coming. We just didn't get time for it. And it should be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's going to be really great. In addition to that, we'll have better automation for class spell lists, for spellcasting advancement, some improvements for multi-class spellcasting, different spell consumption choices. What's that about?
So this is part of the 2024 rules. A lot of spells, well, actually with some of the newer races that have been published, like they give you, or the newer feats, they give you, like they let you cast Misty Step once for free, and then you can also cast it with spell slots. So whenever you cast Misty Step, you need a choice between, am I casting with a spell slot or am I using my like limited charges? That's like a design that we see a lot in the newer stuff, so it's something we need to accommodate in the system.
Yeah, awesome. A question from Zeal about mock-up or preview of the new NPC sheets. We don't, because the design process for those is not as far along, but I think it's probably safe to assume that some of the visual touchstones of the character sheet will be reused in the NPC sheet, but obviously the needs of the NPC sheet and the way that it is used in practice have some different requirements in terms of form versus function, as well as in terms of like what you need close to hand as a DM in the heat of combat. So I think what you would expect is like visual elements that use the same, that paint with the same set of brushes as what we've done for the character sheet, but looking to a design that acknowledges that there's different needs for an NPC. But it will probably be a similar tabbed design with tabs on the right and like a main, and the main first page of the NPC sheet should try and put everything at your fingertips that you'll need, especially during combat.
Yeah. So maybe something like a favorites, not clear yet. It's or maybe a selection of features. But I think one of the main things, at least for me, is compactness. So for the character sheets, they're quite big because you as a player only need one sheet open. But when you're running monsters, you often need several. So compactness is a big part for the NPC sheet design, and we'll see how well we can do it.
Yeah, awesome. Some other things that would be coming up, some more advancements. In terms of API and automation, I know this is something that people are very keen on, and I think that's good to touch on as a general theme. So with the new partnership and the official the official designation of the system and the ability to have official content from other sources moving forward, we're going to be able to lean in a lot more towards automation of certain things within reason and hopefully not excessively, but because there's going to be the underlying content and the underlying sort of stability of the engine to support that. And so resistances, vulnerabilities, immunities, improving the role model to be able to handle certain features a little bit better. We might be exploring things with chat cards that kind of streamline a little bit. So if, one of the things I'm keen to explore is like kind of consolidating the damage roll, attack roll into the chat card of the ability that you're using. Not for sure, but that's something I hope we'll explore. Resource scaling, embedded spells. So that would be like an item that contains a spell you can cast. Is that correct, Kim? That's what embedded spells are.
Yeah.
Improvements to the action workflow, active effect automation of active effect duration tracking and expiration, some automation for range related things. So reach, cover, perhaps like maximum range on projectiles, advantage or rather disadvantage that resulting from range
stuff,
increments, prone, things like that. Aura-based effects, so effects that happen when you're in proximity to a creature, beneficial or harmful. Vision modes, effects that, you know, alter the way that you perceive the world. So that would be like some of the, you know, detect evil and good type spells that, like, during the duration of that spell effect, that active effect changes your token's perception automatically. A lot of those things are, you know, the types of things that the game system will absolutely strive to handle in the future, and so those are all on the roadmap as things we're definitely aiming to do.
We have a big piece of work, big piece of design work, which is, I think we called it activities on the repo. It's something Jeff's been working on, but it's basically on this list as sort of multiple actions per item. Something, again, that's been sort of a long time coming, but it's going to require some serious design work. But a lot of automation will flow from that once we get the groundwork in place. So that's probably the next big. Similar in scope to the advancement, I would say that was another big piece of work that required quite a lot of design. So can look forward to that.
Yeah,
I know Matt is.
Yes, it's been my number one request.
Yeah, and then of course with V12 integration, so V12 being the key, you know, major version of the software that we are working on. It's currently only in the prototype phase, but that's what you've been seeing today during our demo. This has all been V12. Some of the things that didn't work properly are because of V12, not the fault of the PBSO content, just some things we're still working on. But yeah, V12 overall is in a quite good place for being just a prototype, and so, you know, we're really happy to have it, you know, being actively worked on. We of course have scene regions coming in V12, and so that's going to allow for integration with things like areas of difficult terrain, areas of reduced visibility. Those are things that we're really excited to support at the system level. Application V2 is a new way to more effectively and efficiently render forms, render apps. There's other stuff in V12 as well with detection and things that can be hopefully done. Maybe a little bit of token effects, perhaps, that could be automated as well. If we get to it, we'll see. Yeah. So
some of those free Project Fridays that Ludovic showed
Yeah.
with his teleportation effects.
We got one of those tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of things on the roadmap that we're really excited to, you know, to keep working on, and I think the 5th edition system is going to be a, you know, more prominent area of development focus now that this license is in place than it perhaps has been for the past year and a half. I think, you know, this is definitely a lot of incentive to more actively develop and improve it than we had before. So that's really great. Some good questions from chat. For future releases such as the new core rulebooks, do you anticipate that Foundry modules release at the same time as the books, or will there be significant latency there? Hard to say, Zeal. I think the goal would be to be as close to day and date as is feasible and permitted. I think, you know, we're going to be negotiating this alongside our partners at Wizards, and, you know, whether day and date is the right release cadence or not is going to be a function of a lot of things that we have to figure out. But I think generally speaking, the main idea is that closer to that will be better and will be more exciting for our users and for customers who would want to get something right away as soon as they can. So that would be an aspirational goal, and we'll see in terms of what's actually possible. Question from Jinker: could you talk a bit about Wizards and Foundry and if we will be able to have access to more than the SRD? So yeah, we touched on this before, but it bears repeating. The game system remains SRD only under Creative Commons with that data, but all of the non-SRD content will be coming from premium purchased products, whether they're adventure products or rulebook products, is where all of the non-SRD content will come in come into the ecosystem. Question from Sergorak. How long did it take to create this campaign from start to finish? How many people worked on it? Well, it's a little bit... I'm a little bit hesitant to answer that because I don't know that this is exactly like representative of what the process would look like going forward, both in terms of like number of people or in terms of the amount of time. But, you know, we've been working on it for several months and we've had several people working on it. So I think the exact timings depend on, you know, how long it takes to create something depends on the scope of it, depends on what are the key challenges that have as of yet to be overcome. But we were also doing this in parallel with all of the system updates that we were making. And so there was kind of a constant shifting and pushing and pulling of like, let's get this new thing into the system so that we can use this new feature in the content. And I expect that to continue, but not to the same kind of intense degree now that 3.0 is out. And so this was a little bit of a special case, and I think we'll have more data as we do another adventure as the next one, whatever that next one ends up being. And, you know, we're going to keep getting better and faster at doing this as well. So, you know, hopefully all of those signs will lead towards more higher quality and faster delivery. Question from 2M Olaf. Do you think you'll only be selling D&D content as full books rather than piecemeal purchases? There's no plans for any sort of piecemeal purchase at this time. That's something that we would have to work very closely with Wizards to even assess the feasibility of. The plan is for sort of book-wise conversions at the moment. Question from NerdS99. How expensive will rule modules be? I can't give a permanent guarantee towards the future, but the current state is that Wizards of the Coast has a fairly transparent and standardized pricing scheme. That the books are $29.99. That's their standard price, and that's what Phandelver and below costs, either on Foundry or elsewhere. Zeal, how long has this partnership been in the works? Long time. I mean, to varying degrees. We've been hoping to work with Wizards for a long time, as you can imagine. So, you know, the desire from our end has been there for a long time, and there's been just a lot of conversation back and forth and waiting to get to the point where the time was right for both companies to make that step. And I'm thrilled that we've reached that. Whether it was fast or not is not really something I'm too concerned about, but I think that I'm really happy that we've gotten there. Let's see, other questions. Question from McKee1414. On a scale of 1 to 10, why are you guys so cool with all the stuff you do? Why is that, Matt?
7? It had to be on a scale of 1 to 10, so I'm going 7 because I can't fully.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
scale.
why? Yeah, why on a scale of 1 to 10? I think I think it's only 3. Why?
I mean, agree to disagree. We've fought before, and we can disagree on this and get over it.
Yeah.
But I would turn around and I'd say because of users like you, whoever asked that question.
Thank you, McKee1414.
Good answer.
Why are you so cool?
On a scale of apples to oranges.
On a scale of,
we had a question earlier from someone named FML2 about if there was the possibility of having modules on the platform that use content under the fan content policy. And I think there's nothing changed there. We've always allowed modules that operate under the fan content policy. So anybody making content like that can continue to do so. There may be different interpretations of what falls under the fan content policy, but we don't have any change on our end for that.
Yeah.
There was a question about DM's Guild as well, but I don't remember if we ever got an answer.
No
definitive
decision on that yet.
Yeah.
There is, an opportunity to evaluate there, but there are multiple stakeholders involved in that conversation, and so it's something that will take a little bit of time to explore.
And I think we had another question from Chaos 39 that was a similar thing, except about translations, where it's a similar thing of like, need to evaluate and look into it to see what we can do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I think for those of you who have stuck it out for the entirety of the stream, I'd like to reward you for your participation. And I think we can wrap up the stream with a quick giveaway to hopefully get a couple copies of Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, into some happy new hands. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to just put up an AFK screen for a second, for a minute, while I grab the list of viewers that are in chat, and maybe while I'm talking, one of our moderators could go ahead and start helping me with grabbing that list, or Matt or Kim. And once I have that list, I'm going to set up a fancy little roll table so that we can give the Wheel of Fortune a spin and find a couple of you to send home with the Phandelver and Below adventure. So let's go ahead and put up the AFK screen for a second while I grab that list together. And don't go anywhere. You're going to have to be here in order to win. All you have to do is be signed in to Twitch so that you have a username in chat, and then you'll be eligible to win. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back, and then we'll do that giveaway.
I just posted a list in D&D Planning for you.
All right, we are back with the giveaway. I'm going to go down the list quickly first and just rule out a couple of people that are our team. Although I probably won't quite catch everybody. But if we roll a Foundry team member, we'll re-roll. But
yeah. I didn't get a content key.
You don't. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I assure you did.
Theoretically.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and give the wheel a spin. Everyone channel your positive energy and inspiration. And away we go. Of the 241 of you who are logged into chat right now, the first winner is... Oh, what happened?
It's a V12 bug.
First winner is a V12 bug. Come on, really? That can't be right. Cannot read properties of undefined reading formula, roll formula. Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. That is such a womp womp.
Did it get marked off in the?
Yeah, I think they must have. They got marked off. V12, why you do this to me? All right, the winner is.
I said this would happen.
Fakarugan. Fakarugan. We're on the bleeding edge, folks. This is where we live. They told me we should do the stream in V11, and I was like, I don't have time for that. V12 is where I live now. Yeah, Fakarugan, if you are here, what you'll need to do is say something in chat to confirm you're winning. In the meantime, let's roll again. The winner is Blue Acoustic Music. Is our second winner. Blue Acoustic Music, if you are here, you are the winner of a Phandelver and Below adventure. And let's wait and see if we get any acceptances on those prizes, because if not, we're going to re-roll them.
Nothing so far. But I suppose there's a chat delay.
There is a little chat delay.
Blue
We're going to wait.
Acoustic. Oh, Blue Acoustic, I think, is here. Yeah.
All right.
But
I don't.
Nothing from.
I accept from Blue Acoustic Music. Excellent. We'll give Fakarugan another 10 seconds. Sunjammer, everyone thinks the D241 is the lucky one. But
I need to check the Pixels website, see if they have a.
yeah, does Pixels have a
D241
all right. Time has expired on Fakarugan. We're rolling again. The winner is Lord Zeal. I know who that is.
Oh, no way.
I know who
no
that
way.
is.
He said he
Lord
was
Zeal.
holding off buying it just in case.
Lord Zeal. Accept. All right. Well deserved for a well-esteemed member of our community who will be sure to point out all of the things that could look nicer.
And he might be right.
And might be right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining. Congratulations to Blue Acoustic Music, to Lord Zeal. We'll have more giveaways in the future next time we are live on stream. But for those of you who did not win, I hope you have been impressed with what you've seen so far about the quality and attention to detail that we've put into the creation of Phandelver and Below on Foundry VTT. I think it's such an easy to run adventure, which for me is just like the greatest thing, to be able to put together a game and show up and play it and just know that I don't really have to do anything at all. It's all just completely ready to go. It's super worth it. And, for basically the cost of just going out to lunch with a friend, I mean, I really think it's an unbeatable deal. And so I hope that y'all will consider supporting the product and supporting our new partnership. And thank you very, very much for joining and for watching along. And we hope to see you next time out in Foundryland. Until then, cheers, happy gaming, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.